back in 1999, we started Laurie's Buffalo Gourmet with the thought that possibly what we were making for friends and family was a marketable product. And the reason that we came around to that was we had lived in Los Angeles for years, grew up in Los Angeles. My husband's family, he grew up making these as a snack. We made them for friends and family. We were invited to all the parties and all the everything because of the chips and salsa that we did. And so when we came to Utah, there wasn't a whole lot of that kind of thing here. So basically, my husband said, why don't we give it a shot, see what happens? So we transformed our living room into a lab, and we would fry chips at home. We tried different seasonings. We tried, okay, now what do we do with this? How can we package this so that it's safe and secure so we can get it out there? And we literally went out and just bought all kinds of bags, sealers. We had family that was doing design work for us. I mean, we got everybody together and we just started trying to figure out what it was that when it was all said and done, we felt really good about. Then the biggest question was, we're not allowed to do this in our home because at that time they didn't have the cottage program. So what are we going to do? How are we going to make these chips? And so the obvious venue was a place that had fryers, big fryers, because ours were hand fried. So we approached a local business. We had a lot of kids at home and small children, so we didn't want to go too far away. So we found someone that was close by and asked him if we would be able to use his hamburger stand fryers at night after they closed. Fortunately for us, he was a big entrepreneur supporter and only, required us to pay as we used it, which was awesome to get started. So we began going in and frying, cutting tortillas. Really had no idea if there was even going to be a demand. We had done some market research where we had people come to our house and we served these chips and had different flavors and pulled things out of the cupboards and created all of these different flavors, and we kind of narrowed it down to 4 flavors. So then we got into the hamburger stand at night after they closed and set up a little shed in the back parking lot and put all of our stuff in, and literally at night transformed this hamburger place into a chip place. My first thing was to take the chips to a market, and so I picked a gourmet market that would appreciate handmade product and took the bag there, and they said, yeah, we'd love to try it. So they ordered 15 cases. We took those in, and I just thought, oh, they'll never call me again. And next week they called and said, oh my gosh, they're gone, we need more. And that's kind of where it all started. After that, demand grew and we started getting more and more requests. So then we got to the place, and I did hire some people to come in and help eventually, because after about a year and a half, my children were not doing well with the 9:30 to 4:30 in the morning thing and having to go to school. So we pulled back and hired some people to come in and help, and then got to the place where demand was getting enough that we could not produce in the hours that the hamburger place was closed. So that was our first wall. And in the history of your business, no matter what you're selling, you hit the walls. So our first wall was, okay, now how do we do this now in a way that we make this big leap? We've only been in business for a year. No one was willing to give us a small business loan for a chip product because it's a highly competitive field, and we didn't have any history. So what do? So we decided to seek out a facility that we could lease and then put in a commercial kitchen. We could sell out of there and do it during the day. That was our big leap, and we bootstrapped the whole thing. We had no outside money coming in. We pulled from our own funds to do that. Got into that facility, built the kitchen. Pretty soon we're going, and I have 8 people working for me, and after another year I can't meet the demand anymore. So all these little walls that I kept hitting were moments of saying, okay, do I have what it takes to go to this next place? And so as we went forward, I would have these humbling moments where I would sit down and say, okay, this is going to take a little more guts to do. Are you willing? And what is it going to take? What are you going to sacrifice? Are you willing to do this? And so obviously I said yes because I'm still here. So what we realized is that as we grew, a product made by hand, eventually your labor becomes too much. So we had to then talk about manufacturing with a tortilla chip line. Again, we were about 3 years in business, and we needed $1 million to put a line in and didn't have that $1 million, nor the facility to handle something like that. So pretty much just hunkered down a little bit and said, okay, what are we going to do now? I started just talking to everybody. And that was one of the things I think in starting this business that was really a good thing for me, is I was pretty naive about the whole thing. I didn't know a lot about manufacturing. I literally jumped out there and said, I think I can do this. And so my lack of knowledge in some of these areas actually was a blessing, because I didn't know that I was pushing boundaries I wasn't supposed to push. And so I just jumped out and did it. So I started calling all kinds of business people saying, I need help. I need someone to tell me what to do next. And I had some very good people who happened to just step in the path and tell me what to do. Fortunately, through word of mouth, I was approached by a manufacturer that's here. Whether you want to say they believed in me or had pity on me, I don't know. But they decided that they were going to help. And it was the turning point for me, because they came into the picture and said, look, we'll develop this together. We have to change the product a little bit because it has to run off the line, but let's work together. We'll put your name on it, and you can handle all of that side of it, that specialty side. And so off we went. And printed the bag, got a printed bag. Pretty soon what I could do in a whole week by hand was being done in like 2 hours. So that then opened the door for mass sales. I think the next place that I got after that was realizing that I had all kinds of potential in front of me, that I really could do this. And wait a minute, it's just me. What am I going to do? I have to have help. So going along again, all of a sudden my manufacturing problems weren't there anymore, but now it was marketing and sales and being able to really sell the product so that it was worth the run on the machine. So I got out there and just started again pushing those boundaries. And some of the hard lessons probably were learning that, you know, as an entrepreneur, you get out there and you think, I have this idea, I'm so passionate about it. You know, you realize that you're really not good at everything. You have this kind of false ego for a while, and you think, oh, I can do this, and it's a good thing because it's what drives you. But then you hit the place and you say, okay, I have to be realistic now. I can't possibly do all of it, and I'm not good at all of it. What you need to understand is that you can always pay someone to do the things that you can't do or that you're not good at. You can't pay anyone to do what you can do. So separate those things and start getting people to help you. And so there was a lot of coercing, a lot of, can you do this for a little bit of money? And you know, while we're getting going. I think one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was to say yes to everyone and to think that the faster I grew, the better. Yes, that's all exciting, and the numbers are all exciting. But my experience has been that if I really, really want to go to bed at night and feel like I kind of have a footing, I need to take this a step at a time. What can we do right now with the manpower that we have, and how can we make it work so that everybody wins in this picture? Then when everybody's winning and we're all feeling good, then we move to the next place. And that has been has felt more secure and more like I'm getting to my goal. We did we did 3 benefits this last year. And that was, for me, that was huge, because that's really what my biggest passion is. So now I'm finally starting to see those two worlds come together. But I'll tell you right now that I have pulled out of myself the will to keep going, and I didn't even know that I had that much will. So the wonderful, wonderful part of it is that what I've learned about myself and what I can do if I put my mind to it.